The Food and Drug Administration is working on new safety standards for fresh fruit and vegetable production. Now, before the rules are written, the FDA wants to hear from farmers and get their ideas and concerns. A meeting was held recently in Tifton that brought Georgia producers together so that their voices could be heard. Mark Wildman was there. He has this report.
At the University of Georgia's Tifton campus, producers along with others in the fruit and vegetable industry gathered to discuss the new food safety standards that FDA is currently working on.
What we're doing throughout the U.S. Right now in many locations, we're engaging in listening sessions with the produce industry before we even get to the point of rulemaking.
The event, which brought over 100 participants to South Georgia, is an effort of the Produce Safety Project at Georgetown University. Produce Safety Project is a nonprofit organization seeking enforceable food safety standards by FDA.
What we're hoping is that as the Food and Drug Administration moves forward in proposing a rule, they'll put in place a rule that not only protects consumers and prevents foodborne illness, but also makes sense for the growers, because it has to make sense for the growers so that they can continue providing fresh fruits and vegetables for the consumers.
The topics that were discussed include composting, soil and water quality, farm worker health, and many other issues important to producers. Producers who attended the event got an opportunity to share their thoughts that will eventually be taken into account when the final rules are written.
We want to hear from the experts in the produce industry, those folks that do it every day here, the farmers, the growers, the packers, the shippers, the processors, what they're doing in relation to food safety.
When it is all said and done, the new regulations will be putting all growers on the same playing field. From California to Georgia, all growers will be following the same rules. And many in the industry feel that is a good thing.
As it stands right now, there are lots of audit companies out there. Retail outlets, grocery store chains, and restaurant chains. They are the growers' customers. So they come to our growers and say, we want you to use XYZ audit brand. 90% of those questions are all the same. And so we're very excited about the potential that there's one level playing field.
So what we're hearing from growers is, yes, one standard would be welcome, as long as it's science-based as much as possible, although we still have some gaps in science. It's scalable, so that it works for the small grower and the large grower, and that it's risk-based, that the higher risk commodities that have had numerous outbreaks are a different risk than commodities that have not.
The discussion took part in one large meeting space, and then the attendees were split up to small focus groups to get their ideas on paper.
We grow onions, we grow watermelons, and we grow carrots. We've grown cantaloupes in the past. And they're all very different animals, and we feel like they all need different levels of acceptable levels of E. coli or anything else we're testing for.
Although it is impossible to predict what the cost will be to the farmer at this early stage, the feedback seems to suggest if the rules boost the confidence of the public, then all involved will benefit.
Obviously, if consumers don't have confidence in the safety of their fruits and vegetables, it hurts the producers because then they don't have a market. And what we've seen is when there's been a major outbreak that's been related to a particular commodity, that commodity tends to suffer. And oftentimes it suffers whether or not the commodity was involved in terms of where it was grown.
Yeah, I think it'll be good for the end consumer, which in the end should sell more fruits and vegetables, and that'll be good for the industry. I think it's going to be a huge expense for the industry. But as long as everybody has the same expense, I guess it's a fair game.
Reporting from Tifton, I'm Mark Wildman for the Georgia Farm Monitor.